Greetings, Padawans, and welcome to the Archives. Here to unlock this holocron, here's the man of the hour, Jedi Master, AlsoTeeko.
And don't forget about Judah Fred and everyone's favorite rebel,
MJ.
Goddamn 40 shell.
Back in 1947.
Whenever you're ready, Fred.
50, goddamn. Yeah, alright. 3, 2, 1. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Archives podcast. Today we've got a special guest with us, Van Seal. What up, Van Seal?
What up, Van Seal?
What up?
Oh, man.
Good to have you here. We also got the Jawa was back. The Jawa was back. We seen it. You ain't gotta hide it,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, we got Drew, we got MJ, we got Tico, and your boy Fred, of course. We're just talking about Star Wars as always. And today is actually going to be a very, very interesting episode. Just a little precursor. I did not see the new episode of Ahsoka, but I am cool with everyone talking about it because I'm going to watch it anyway.
Yeah.
Just, I didn't have any time to watch over the weekend, so.
Of course.
That's what it is. But I'm cool with it, though.
Gotta get that shmoney.
Money.
And a grand theme of today's podcast is going to be Star Wars TV series. And we're going to kick off with talking about our favorite live action shows. I know Van Seal's new here, so Van Seal, what is your favorite live action Star Wars show?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Favorite live action Star Wars TV show. I'm trying to think of what's the one I've rewatched the most because that's probably my favorite. Yikes! Everything that's running through my head is all animated. I think. Let's see. I think The Mandalorian. I think The Mandalorian, and specifically, I would say Mando season 2.
Oh, bro, if you were about to say favorite. 3.
Oh, 3 does not. 3, no. If I can get that time back from my life and use it for something more productive, I would somehow.
Facts.
Please.
Facts.
But Mando season 2, I think is the one I've rewatched the most. So yeah, it's probably my favorite.
Surprisingly, like, Mando's a show I really haven't rewatched that often. It's weird. I think because 3 put just such a sour taste in my mouth for the entire entity, but I do remember rewatching season 1, and I love season 1.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
season 1.
Yeah, for sure.
I know that feel as well, by the way. When you like a show, but then there's that one season that's like, if I gotta rewatch it, I gotta rewatch this season too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I feel you there.
It's like Friends when they bring in all the boyfriends that are ugly as shit to date the hot girls. And it's like, why am I watching this show still? And that's how Mando was when they brought Lizzo onto the screen. I just didn't want to watch it no more.
It's so funny because I didn't mind Jack Black. I was like, okay, it's a cameo. I get it. Jack Black is fine. He's trending right now because of the Mario movie. So I was like, I get it. And I thought he played a fun character. I thought he had a fun take on an ex-Imperial because he was all jolly and almost looked like the Santa Claus you'd see at the mall. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Lizzo, I was like, I'll be honest, I didn't know who Lizzo was until I saw that episode.
You lucky.
I was like, did my research. I was like, damn, what the hell?
Just the entire, it's not just the Lizzo thing. I just like making jokes about it because now she's a piece of shit. But just, and so is the season as a whole. I started rewatching because I've been sick and I still am very sick. So if I sound like Kermit the Frog, listeners, that's why. But I started rewatching Mandalorian season 3 and I'm just going through it and it's like, there's plot holes that they never went back to. Like, Bo-Katan's pissed off that Mando's bothering her. And then she dropped this line of, let's get rid of this guy once and for all. And that's when Mando was caught by, like, the General Grievous cyborg thingy on Mandalore. and they never revisited that tension. If anything, they only added more tension, but like romantic tension with those two. So it was just weird. And I will always, if you throw it in a pot and you boil it down, it always circles back to, why the fuck is Grogu there? He didn't need to be there. He added nothing to this season at all. He was just,
Yeah.
and it
We
pissed
got
me off.
IG-12. We got IG-12. Like,
Yes.
yeah.
I think-
5 minutes. We got 5 minutes.
So talking about the Mando, like, Bo-Katan thing, like, there was one line that, like, I literally almost did a spit take when I was watching it, because I thought it was so awful and so funny. And I was like, damn, Mando's game sucks.
Yeah.
So it's like that same episode where they're walking through the mines, they're just talking, and he's asking about, like, Bo-Katan's past, and she's like,
No.
she's what did he say? He said something like, I wish I knew your father. He sounds like a great man. And she's like, oh, like, he died. And then he, like, pauses, and then just says, this is the way. And I'm just like, good job, buddy.
Bro thought his Riz was cold that day.
I was like, nice. But yeah, no, the whole season as a whole, like, I would say my biggest pet peeve of season 3 is probably, I feel like there was a lot of, like, writing fallacies that they did. And the one thing, because I thought the first episode was like, the first episode I think is actually the best, because it's like, it's a good introduction to the series, it's a good reintroduction to the characters and what the show's about. I was like, it was fine. They played it safe and it was fine. The second episode was when I had problems, was because at the end of season 2, they're like, okay, you have to go to the mines and take a bath, and you know, this is your quest for
Bring
the
me
future.
back some
Okay.
bath water.
Yeah.
Some
That is your
Bo-Katan
quest.
bath water. Judah would be all over that.
That is your quest for the next season. It's like, okay, we have the objective, we have the mission, this is the journey, and the next season is going to be, you know, how we get there. The dude completes his task in like 60 minutes, and I'm like, okay, like, now what? You know, it's kind of like when you get a homework assignment that's due in like 2 months, and you do it like the next night, and you're like, now what do I do? And I feel like the writers just had no idea what to do, because they're like, well, he did the thing, but we still have like 6 or 7 more episodes we have to write for, so we're just like, filler? Like,
Lizzo. Send her.
Lizzo?
Yeah, send in Lizzo. That's how it felt too. It felt like, it honestly felt like, my takeaway and my immediate reaction after the finale was, okay, so we're back to where we started. Mando's got Grogu. I hate the kid.
Then
God damn it.
Yeah, Din Grogu.
He did nothing.
They change his name every season. It's like,
He did nothing wrong. Leave him out of this.
Yeah.
Bullshit. He picked a fucking tunic
Chainmail.
of chainmail over a fucking lightsaber. He's the only person in history that would ever take that, except for like the goofy LARP guys. I feel like they might be really down for that chainmail. But bro, like,
Hey, bro.
I mean, he isn't a baby, you know? He is 50. If that does
Yeah.
count. He's got some
Grown
kind
man.
of...
and then,
Yeah, bro.
and then,
Man, he's
and then he got that
paying taxes.
Mandalorian like shield, and that had nothing to do with the plot of the story.
yeah, he got that chest plate. Never got shot in the chest.
Nope.
Not yet.
No. And
Not yet.
the precipice.
Well, he did with the paintballs, I guess, technically, when they were training.
Yeah.
True.
But the precipice and what it all boiled down to was Grogu, arms stretched out like a pastor, preaching, doing the Kanan with the fire, and he didn't have to die, but Kanan had to die. You know, it's just bullshit. Double standards just to save a kid, you know?
Because he's the Yoda.
It's because Kanan wasn't 50 yet. He couldn't save himself.
He was only a Jedi Knight.
Once you're 50, then you're mortal to fire.
And lastly, they brought back a villain that had already been beaten. They said that he was going to get executed, and it's all over the place too, man.
My clones.
Ostracizing of Cara Dune, and then just writing her off by saying, "Oh, she's deployed here." Like, okay, just don't mention her. Just don't mention her. And then IG-12, that was buck wild. I know. That's a staple for MJ right there. I could see why MJ would enjoy IG-12, bro.
So here, I want to ask you guys this question because this is something I never understood.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this is something the first episode that made like no sense to me. I was like, wait a minute, how's this gonna work? So, you know, he has this N1 starfighter, and the reason he goes to get IG is like he wants to rebuild them because he's going to explore Mandalore. I'm like, he needs a guide, he needs a droid. He's the only droid he trusts. And I'm like, looking at his ship, I'm just like, is he gonna strap him on the wing? Like, where is he supposed to fit? You have a perfectly good like astromech pod, which he ended up using.
Yep.
With R4. But I was like, where was your plan for IG-11? Like, are you just gonna strap some rockets to his legs and he's gonna like follow you around in space? Like, how was that supposed to work?
That's a very good point. I don't think they thought it through. I don't think they thought it through. I don't think Mando thought it through, bro. Honestly, that ship's dope as hell. I mean, you probably can't mod that bitch anymore. That thing was going like 0
and
at 30.
I like the N1. I liked the N1, but I liked his Razor Crest because it was like his Falcon. It was his home where he can like sleep.
It was original.
Yeah, and you can bring people on. There was room, so like when he's sleeping, he's just like literally sleeping at the wheel now. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And they really destroyed that just to sell a Lego, bro. That's nuts.
I know.
They sold it that's nuts. And they
Wild,
blew it
right?
up and for no reason. It had nothing to do with the show. Because it's not like, oh, let's get on Slave One. Slave One's parked in the back. Like they didn't have nothing. They just took a fucking shuttle.
My biggest peeve for the whole show was literally the whole controversy with the Darksaber. Mando passing it off to Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan now having it after we thought Mando was going to go on this long journey and become like the first or not the first, but like another Mandalorian Jedi like person, right? And then just here comes Gideon. Just... all your hopes and dreams. Yeah, all your hopes and dreams shattered.
How did she not shatter all of her bones in her hand? Like, she was holding the Darksaber when he crushed it, right?
Yep.
And the Darksaber was crushed. It's made of Beskar.
He used the Force.
How was her fingers? How was her hand not turned into a flower after that?
I mean, she's just built different. Like you see her,
Plot armor.
punching. Bro, she literally punched. What's dude's name? Like Fox or Wolf or whatever his name is. The other like the bad guy Mandalorian that they set up that really wasn't a bad guy the whole time. She punched him in the chest, full Beskar. Like, and he just wore that shit, and she didn't even throw nothing into it either. There's too much inconsistencies with the Mandalorian, and man, season 3 season 2 was literally peak. Like, you brought in Luke motherfucking Skywalker to send it off, and you season 3 was just
I felt
the rails.
disrespected.
Yeah,
I felt violated because like they did like the little the Looney Tunes exit, you know, the outro on the mythosaur. Like if he just literally winked at you, I was throwing my remote at my TV, dude. There was no way saving my TV. Like if the mythosaur literally winked, it was over. Like
the show had
really
so much hype.
Yeah,
It had so much hype, and it made the other thing I don't appreciate about what happened in Book of Boba Fett is that it happened in Book of Boba Fett. Like, you have to watch Book of Boba Fett to know why Grogu is back with Mando in season 3.
Yeah, that was dumb.
And that's just, like, that's not how shows really work, because people watch, all right, I'm going to binge watch Mandalorian season 1 to 3. And you see people like, wait, if Grogu just went with Luke, what the fuck is he doing back? And that was like the big thing, you know? Everyone was expecting Grogu to go off and be a Jedi. And I feel like there was just too much stuff from the higher ups. Like, Grogu's a moneymaker. We need him in the show.
Chainmail over lightsaber.
Yep.
When season 4, when he's Grogu Skywalker, dude, that's gonna be sick.
Yeah, Din Grogu Skywalker, the child.
Yeah.
The chosen
Yes,
one.
The chosen one.
the chosen one is wild.
No, but I was gonna say was when the Mandalorian first started season 1, like I was like hyped for Baby Yoda. I was like, this is such a great idea, such a great marketing tool. I was like, good on them. Like this is trending. And the reason I was happy was because The Mandalorian was like their flagship show. We were like, we don't know if this is gonna work. This is like brand new things.
Yeah, it was a guinea pig.
But Baby Yoda sold everybody, and I was happy for that reason. I didn't really care for the character. I was just happy that they found a tool to market Star Wars in a way that everybody would like it. And then I was like, okay, they're doing a story arc. He's going to be in the next episode, and the arc is supposed to wrap up after episode 3. I'm like, all right, cool. So, like, you know, Mando can do his 3-episode story arc with Baby Yoda, and then, you know, that arc is done, and then hopefully we never see the kid ever again, and he can go back to being a bounty hunter. And then episode 4 came around, and I was just like, oh, this is what it's going to be like forever. And I'm like,
yep,
he's baby.
Damn, we're babysitting for.
And now he's his father.
I mean, I love the memes that came out of season 3, though. We can't even argue that. The great
My
one is
clones.
The Jurassic Park meme one with the crocodile and the birds.
Mm-hmm.
My God, dude! There's so many memes just from that one.
Yeah, Mandalorians. I'll say Mandalorians were like really cool, and after season 3, I just think they're really dumb now. I think Mandalorians are just like.
Brains were never involved with Braun, or
no, their brains are made. The brains are made of Beskar, I think. Like it's literally like that episode where the kid, because it starts off with the alligator, right, and then like a giant pterodactyl cat. I'm like, why don't you guys move? Your kids are getting taken. And then when they're trying to save that kid that gets taken from the pterodactyl, the Jon Favreau character, I forget his name, but he was like, we ran out of fuel. This always happens. So I'm like, wait, this has happened before? You've let this happen before?
This always happens.
This always happens.
That's why you need to fly. That's why I gotta fly a hybrid. You know?
Yeah, and I'm like, why don't you guys move?
It's too expensive.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Wait, I thought you meant extra fuel, dude. What's going on?
Why not just fly one of the Gauntlet starfighters up, kill the thing, sacrifice a kid or two, call it a day, you know?
Too much noise. Scare 'em off. We gotta be quiet.
And then when they're training, they're doing their hand-to-hand combat by the lake where, you know, the giant dinosaurs like to eat their people and their kids. They're training right there. There's a scene where you have a bunch of Mandalorians just shooting into the water.
They're training.
And I'm like, this is great target practice, because I guess you can't miss the water. I mean, maybe you can, but...
They find a way.
What are you trying to hit? Or are we trying to scare away the alligators? I don't know.
I love how Bo-Katan referred to that clan as like, oh, you're from those people. Okay.
Oh my God.
Like those are literally the dudes out in the forest shooting guns and kissing sisters. That's what it boils down to, man. Especially when Mando was like,
Florida.
do you remember that when they were sitting by the fire and everyone thought that he was gonna take his helmet off and like be like, yo, what's up, Bo? How you doing?
I'm gonna go eat my food over here.
I'm gonna eat my food over here.
Girls are scary.
Women, no.
When she took off her helmet, I thought like one Mando was randomly going to come back and be like, sorry, I forgot my napkins, or I forgot my water, or something, like with her helmet all off.
Any of y'all got a fork?
Y'all gonna finish that? I'm kind of hungry. But Mandalorian, man, it's a good show. Yeah. Unfortunately, just had a really shit season. Coming off of, and I did a video recently, like giving grades and stuff. Mandalorian season 2, I had as a perfect show. Mandalorian season 1, I had like an S tier show. Still a really good show.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Mandalorian season 3 was what I estimated the worst Star Wars product to be released. And that sucks.
I would have to agree. That was just dog shit, dude.
With the hype that it had as well, you know, like hype matters too. And
it's bound to happen, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not. What's the word I'm looking for? Like it will happen, you know. If you're gonna roll the dice on each season, I guess you have a 50% chance whether it's loved or it's hated. Mm-hmm. And by the time we got to season 3, it wasn't just like your normal, oh, it's falling off. No, it dumpstered. Yeah.
Terribly. But there's a season 4 that got confirmed, so we'll see what happens with it. You know, I'm
God
gonna
help us all.
Back Lizzo, yeah.
I'm gonna be
Lizzo Skywalker.
I'm gonna be
Lizzo's gonna
cautious
team up
with it.
with she's gonna team up with Gideon. They're gonna be a power couple.
That's racist.
I guarantee. So I wanted to say this earlier. I was gonna say
Beskar Lizzo, man.
You're gonna need a big furnace.
That's a lot of Beskar.
I was gonna say I'll bet
Save some
Monopoly
for the
bucks that,
foundlings, dog.
Gideon returns in season 4.
Oh, he's got
only
to.
in the last episode.
They need a
Because he
villain.
was
Why
a
not bring him
clone.
back? You know.
Yeah. And then they're gonna defeat him, and he's gonna be like, "We're blasting off again." No.
What's that show where the villain he never dies? Oh, mustard. Phineas and Ferb. Phineas and
Oh.
Ferb. Doctor.
Ferb.
He is Doctor Doofenshmirtz to Mando's Phineas and Baby Yoda's Ferb, and then Candace is Bo-Katan. There you go.
It's funny because George Lucas designed Grievous to be that villain, that Saturday morning cartoon villain that always gets away, like the one that always twirls his mustache, like super over exaggerated, super just like straight out of a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
But it works for Grievous. Gideon, it's like and I don't know if it's because of the actor, but it's like I feel like he's trying to be so serious because Giancarlo is such a great actor and he always plays these serious roles. But then like, you know, we get the stuff like my clones, and I'm like,
Yeah. Why didn't you?
have something I want?
He's good. But
he's great, but
the
you're
Gideon
right.
I still
character
look at
is.
Gus as Gus. He's still great. It's Giancarlo.
You just
it's
gotta
not his
write
fault.
him off. He can't show up again. I'm sorry.
He's going
It's
to.
not his fault either, right?
At least make it a clone.
Yeah, and make the clone maybe even like a comic relief character. Have him just be goofier than shit. you
Make
know?
one of the clones like a little off,
Yeah.
a little derpy.
Make him like Joker.
Make him like Drogon.
what,
Oh,
though?
mustard. I heard that, man.
Oh no.
You know, like the Flash series, where like with the Flash, obviously, and like about Thrawn, and one of the Dr. Wells is like not even like a scientist or anything. He's just like a poet or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like just a comic relief character. They could do that, you know. Like he has a different personality type of clone because they did that in the Flash, and it actually worked pretty well. So.
You know, someone said that I'm thinking about just comic relief characters and Jar Jar. Someone said that Gungans are just Jamaican Twi'leks, and that's kind of stuck with me, man. That's kind of stuck with me, but
You some
MJ,
bugging. You some
Gungan?
bugging.
What's that?
you some bugging. I'm curious, MJ, what your favorite live action show would be. And don't you say Bad Batch, that's animated.
Shit.
You got me.
Yeah, you got me. If I had to put it into how like so are we talking like Mandalorian had seasons
Mhm.
and Book of Boba, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka all of just one season?
Yeah.
Am I accumulating all 3 seasons as one for it?
You could pick an individual season if you wanted to. Is it Mandalorian?
So season 1 of Mando,
Okay.
I guess. All right. If I had to put it, this might be a hot take, I guess, but honestly, I think Kenobi was, as of now, because Ahsoka's not done yet. Kenobi was the banger for me.
Mhm.
Simply for Darth Vader. This man literally force choked a kid, broke people's necks,
Yeah.
fucking force gripped a ship, even though he got played. It doesn't matter. He's still a goddamn pimp. Like, the reactions that got me was Kenobi for sure. Like, I was pretty much almost out of my chair and just hyped, I guess. And there were some bullshit moments for sure in Kenobi, but really great reactions out of Kenobi for sure.
Before
And I
we
think that-
even talk about Kenobi, let's just pause and say, no one mentioned Reva. Let's talk about the good things about Kenobi, right?
Yeah, let's talk about how he Finding Nemo with Leia for like half the season.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair, man. It was a lot like Finding Nemo. I liked Kenobi for the lore that it brought and the world building that it had, and it just showed kind of what places were like, and it showed the literal fear in people's eyes when the Empire came to town, you know?
Like the Inquisitors?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
For sure.
in every other media, they kind of make out the Inquisitors to just be pussies, to be little bitches.
Mm-hmm. I think that, I don't want to say it, but I think Reva was that they're not pussy, because like her first interaction, if I recall correctly, she did the Skywalker meme.
Yep.
Sliced off an audience member's hand.
Yep.
He was also the only Inquisitor that actually used her lightsaber, which was unfortunate.
And inquisited. Yeah.
I'm just glad we still, I'm gonna knock on wood, because Ahsoka's still out, or
Yep.
coming out. We don't get live copters. I do not want
Just
them.
you wait.
Yeah,
No.
just you wait, bucko.
Up in the way.
Shut up, Dave Felony. Don't be doing it to me.
Big baloney.
I wonder why. Okay, so like, well, now you're talking about lightsaber copters. How come Grievous wasn't like flying all over the place? 'Cause he had like
Yo,
four,
he had
you know?
four of them,
How
bro.
come he wasn't like had some turbulence issues, you know?
Who knows, man?
Today.
I don't think it was a thing. Like, I think it was invented during Rebels, and Rebels came out when
The technology wasn't out.
Yeah, the technology wasn't out. They were still out.
Yeah, and that's fair.
Advancing.
That's very fair. You can say that. And then, you know, you see how the technology crashed and burned, and that's why people, like, maybe that's why they didn't use it anymore, because they saw a dude fucking die from it.
I just
No.
want to meet the person that thought of that idea in the boardroom and was like, "This is what I got in my brain." Lightsaber copters.
My 4-year-old drew this today at breakfast. What do you think?
They can fly with laser swords.
But really, it was his idea, and he just used the 4-year-old story as a scapegoat in case they were like, "Get the fuck out!" Like, no, little Jimmy drew this, not me, dude. What? This is stupid. Like, I fucking hated it. I enjoyed bits and pieces of Kenobi. I think the story was nice. It added a lot of context to A New Hope for me. A lot, because in A New Hope, it's kind of a continuation of the Kenobi show. Because Ben is literally just out there trying to save Leia again. And what it all boiled down to for me watching that show, or watching the movie, and I cried the first time I watched A New Hope. I had a tear from my eye, because it's a subtle reminder that you don't really think about, but Obi-Wan literally dies to save Anakin's kids. That's nuts. That's a crazy thing to wrap your mind around.
And Anakin is too. What's the word I'm looking for? You know what I'm talking about, right? When you get too angry, you don't think.
Yeah,
you
he's blinded by his.
Seeing red.
He's
Yep, you're
oblivious.
seeing red.
He's
That's all.
ignorant. Yeah.
Yep, everything, all those words, just, he didn't even, but yeah, the deep thought to that is like, damn, your master just gave his life to save your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not he's one with the Force, it's what he did.
Yep. And it was a monumental moment. It made me think to Revenge of the Sith and why Anakin did what he did. Like, I don't know about you guys, but one perspective I never grasped when watching Revenge of the Sith, Anakin just found out he's gonna be a father. Like, he probably is scared shitless. Like, he's about to have kids. He's got to make sure that they're safe and secure and they have a future. So
it's not only that, you know, that it was the council that forbidded that whole ordeal.
Yeah.
Like, he was really scared shitless, because now what, you know, like,
He's like, oh no, child support. Chad, give me your real quick.
Yeah, I just think the one thing people forget is, like, it's not just for Padme, but it's also for his kids. Like, he's about to be a father, and that's one perspective that I think gets forgotten about. And the Obi-Wan show, man, there were some emotional moments there too. Like, are you my real father? I wish I was. Of course you do, you horny bastard.
You're not my dad.
It's just like, I don't know.
I could be.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I like bits and pieces. I think all the parts with Vader are like 10 out of 10, but I think like one thing I don't like about the Kenobi show was like the combat outside of the Vader fight scenes, because anytime Kenobi like fought anybody,
Yeah.
it felt very watered down. Like, we don't want to make our hero look like he's hurting people, and it's like, he's got a lightsaber and he's in like the heart of like an imperial castle. What else do you think he's gonna do? He's not gonna blow chocolate kisses at everybody. Like, you know, he doesn't have a squirt gun. He has got a blaster. It's like, yeah, I hope if they do season 2, I do hope they get somebody else. Like, I think Deborah Chow, like, I think she did okay, but just, I don't know. I think it'd be great if they got somebody else if they did a season 2. I don't know if it needs a season 2, but, you know, there's a lot of things that need sequels.
Season 1 ended it off perfectly, man. Like, whatever faults the Kenobi show had, bro, like, it met my expectations and then some with that last episode, man. Just seeing Kenobi confront and being like, I'm sorry, you know, I failed you. And then Vader just like, you didn't fail me, bro. Like, Anakin's not even here anymore. This is not Anakin you're talking to. You're talking to Vader. Yeah. It's crazy, bro. You know, like, yeah. I feel like that's, you gave me, like you said, it gave me a lot of insight and a new hope as to like how Obi-Wan was able to kind of move forward with his life watching over Anakin's kids, you know?
For sure.
I agree. I did think it was kind of funny, like when Obi-Wan left him, and I think it's cool when he calls him Darth for the first time, because that just shows like he's accepting it. You know what? He's right. Anakin is gone. Like, I have to accept it. I'm going to call you by your new name. But I did think it was kind of funny that I was laughing a little bit when he left him, because like it kind of reminded me of that scene from Batman Begins, where like Batman gets set on fire and he's like, Alfred, pick up. I'm like, I can totally see Vader there like saying, Tarkin, come get me.
So I think my favorite thing with Anakin overall, this could be like cringy, nerdy, whatever. Just so in Rebels, Ahsoka slashes the right side of Anakin's face, or helmet, I should say, and isn't able to, quote unquote, bring him per se back. We get the Kenobi show, and Kenobi slashes the left side of his face and isn't able to, quote unquote, bring him back. Now, granted, Luke doesn't slash any part of his face, but he takes off his helmet, revealing his full face. He himself, being his son, is able to bring him back into the light. Because he's his son.
Damn, my baby boy.
Yeah. You're dead on with that one, man. And I do think it has to do with, like, because even though he's seeing half of his loved ones with his vision, he's still seeing half of it with Vader's vision too, you know. And you see at the end of Revenge of the Sith how robotic he sees bullshit, you know. He doesn't see shit clear like we do. Like, bro's literally got like the target lock symbol for vision, and it can't be a fun existence. So that constant reminder, of course, yeah. And that's a good, probably the best singular moment in that show was Hayden and Ewan's conversing right there. That did it for me. Like, that was enough. They could have hit the Michael Bay outro right then and there, and I would have been happy with it. But season 2, if they could explore more themes, maybe get off of Tatooine a little bit more. And
Gee, I get stabbed again.
I'd like to see Luke a little bit more. I don't like how like Luke was just kind of like there.
Yeah.
I mean, Leia, I think the actress, the little girl that played Leia, she was like perfect. I thought she did such a great job. I thought she stole the show a couple episodes. I thought she was great, except when they were
she roasted Kenobi every chance she had.
I thought that was funny because that is so Carrie Fisher, because Carrie Fisher has like no filter.
Nope.
So I thought that was super great how they got that. But I was like, I'd like to see more of Luke, because I was like, I feel like every time we saw Luke, he was just kind of like playing in the dirt. Or
I mean, that's what Luke was though. Like, he was isolated as fudge compared to what Leia was. Leia was adopted by a senator, Senator Organa. So like her name was pretty much just plastered, whereas they looked at Luke like, you are like a womp rat.
They make Luke look like Chris from like Family Guy. It's just kind of like,
Yeah.
That's why Family Guy was perfectly casted when they did that Star Wars episode, bro. But it was tight. And if they can add in, because they could do so much if he is just watching over Luke. You can bring Black Kersantin into things. You could have
He was a legend.
some Tusken runs in, and he can get it. Headcanon for me, the Tusken warrior chick is Reva.
What? Imagine? Could you imagine, dude? Oh my.
She walks off, dude. She walks off into the desert. She's wearing rags. She's really good at hand-to-hand combat.
Then she literally takes off her helmet to eat some like chicken noodle blue milk soup or whatever, bro. And it's Reva. I would,
and there's snorting lizards out there.
Yeah. Dude, no, like dead ass. That's like something that I legitimately subscribe to.
it's a good theory. It is a good theory.
Because Tuskens
you know?
were always like, they kind of gave you it. If you were aggressive, they'd kill you. But if
So
you
you
were
think
chill,
she buried her lightsaber and picked up the gaffy stick?
oh, for sure.
I think somebody hit her on the back of the head and just told her, "Hey, you're a Tusken, by the way." And she's like, "Oh, all right." Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's because she forgot how to speak. That's why. Yeah. After the concussion.
Yeah. Book of Boba 2. Reva comes in as the Tusken warrior. First episode, she takes it off. Boom. I'll be your. They'll make it into a mafia show. She could be the heavy for Boba Fett's little.
But wait, didn't that whole tribe die?
Yes.
They all died except for Warrior.
Except for Warrior.
And
And
Reva is a god.
How did we know Warrior survived?
Because her body was missing.
Oh,
It implicates that she's alive.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
They showed every other like
That's
main
interesting.
Tusken that they showed except for
I
her.
like that theory, Tebow. I really do. Reva's fucking Tusken warrior.
And
Could you imagine,
she's
dude?
immortal, so of course she would survive it. Why would she not survive it? She
Just because
survived
she got
two.
stabbed with a lightsaber.
Bro, she survived Anakin Skywalker stab and a Darth Vader stab. She's chilling.
Qui-Gon stayed mad.
So Juder, live action. What are you saying?
And or what?
I'm glad you brought that
bullshit
up.
Fucking Jedi.
What?
Lightsabers. Too many of them.
Had like no action.
Didn't need it.
Hey, man.
Didn't need it.
Motherfuckers
Okay,
locked
fair
up in
point.
prison.
Fair point. The dialogue was that fantastic. It was literally off the scale of a 10 out of 10 rating for sure.
Mm-hmm. And the action that it did have was like
Mid.
real. No, it was real. Like the opening sequence when they're coming out of the ting ting and they got dude at gunpoint. Like that's the kind of action I like, not Obi-Wan kicking away a gun, shooting some stormtroopers. That was like it's the real stuff that I love. The prison, bro. There were so many great things about that show. Ju, what was your favorite arc in the show?
When the dude dies in prison.
That
The
was
old head?
On the
tough.
floor.
That was strong, yeah.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, that definitely will start a
arc.
prison riot. Yeah.
And that episode was so relatable for me because I was watching their brothers and I was like, hey, you guys remember when we used to play The Floor is Lava? Like,
That's it.
I love that show, man. My favorite arc from that, it had to have been the prison break because
Prison break for sure.
the entire time you are just so invested in it and it's so real and it's just nuts how much went into that, and it was really just like a 3-episode type beat. But that show is crazy because you get some of like the most wild action movie things, right? You get a bank robbery, you get a heist, you get a prison break, and then you get a fucking riot at the end. It's nuts. It's a great show. And all in between, man, the characters were insane. I love the characters because it showed it's more world building. Like that's a world building show in it of itself. It shows you what the Empire's like. and it shows you what's going on. And I love, like, looking at these live action contenders that we have: Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Andor, Ahsoka. Every single one of them is before, like a little bit before or a little bit after the reign of the Empire. And the originals, I gotta say, are probably, like, that's my era that I love the most. So the fact that it's getting so much saturation and so much juice, like, I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And I'd have to say Andor is probably easily my favorite as well. I thought it was a perfect show. Because from episode 1 to episode 12, like, was there slow moments? Sure. But just like a good brisket, you got to take your time with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta have slow moments in every TV show, right? Like, you can't just have pace the whole time. Like, there has to be some story building, some, like, some slow moments here and there to kind of, like, show us the characters, like, what they're about, you know? So,
I think the things I like the most about the show was like, I didn't really care too much for the first 3 or the last 3 episodes. I think my favorite arc was the middle, the prison. But I really liked just seeing Andor go to different places. So, like, that first episode when he's, like, looking for his sister, I think. I was getting mad Blade Runner vibes with, like, the aesthetics and everything. I was like, oh, this show's gonna be sick. And then also looking more into the ISB, I thought the ISB had the perfect amount of screen time. Like, they weren't overbearing, but, like, every minute we had of the ISB just gave us more information on, like, how the Empire operates, and I loved all of that because it wasn't, like, in your face or anything like that, but it was just enough where it's like it's keeping you interested. And, like, you're more invested in now Imperial officers, which we've never really had Imperial officers other than, like, the big hitters, as, like, characters you want to care about. You're more interested in. It's like you're just like, oh yeah, they're a lieutenant or they're a second villain or whatever. But it's like the ISB was, like, it was pretty interesting to see how just to see. And then obviously, I think being able to see Coruscant during the Galactic Civil War era, because we never see Coruscant during episode 4, 5, or 6, other than the special.
They talk about it, right?
They talked about it, I think, like, once or twice, but we never see Coruscant. So being able to see,
I remember the scene that we it's like the outro, right? The celebratory victory.
Yeah. That's the only time you see it, and you're just like, it's nighttime, people are partying, their ships, like,
it's like all silhouettes.
Exactly. So we actually get to see Coruscant, which I think is really cool. It's like, it's the Imperial capital, but it's like, it looks nice. You know what I mean? It's clean, looks nice. Like, I'm like, that's kind of cool. And then we can see apartments and stuff like that. So I thought it was, like, really cool, like you said, on world building like that. That's what I liked about the show the most.
I agree. Yeah, it's just world building out the ass, and it worked. Like, I never felt overwhelmed watching the show, and that's crazy considering how many characters they ask you to, like, care about. It was, in my estimation, it's literally a perfect show. It's up there with, like, Breaking Bad. Not just a Star Wars show, but, like, shows in general. I love Breaking Bad. Me and Jupe been watching Breaking Bad for years, and it's like, bro, it's
one of the GOATs out there. Top 3 in my recommendations.
The fact that we have a guaranteed season 2 of Andor, same writers, same directors, same producers. You don't just accidentally find gold. Like, I think that there's a class that goes into it, and Andor is the bar right now for Star Wars shows. And it's previously it was Mando season 2. Andor, I feel like, took it not to another level, but just to a different level, a different wing of the building. Because I think Mando season 2 is very Star Wars-y. Andor is a show about Star Wars in the galaxy of Star Wars. So it's a little bit different, but I like the difference, You gotta have difference. You gotta have contrast. Fred.
Yeah.
What you saying about that?
I think you're definitely right. We need more than just, like JT said, so lightsabers here, lightsabers there, lightsabers everywhere. We need something where, like...
I'm sorry, but lightsabers are the heart and soul of Star Wars.
They are.
Oh, agreed.
Right?
But if you can have, like, 2 to 3 months out of the year without seeing them, that's fine.
Like the Young Han Solo movie, man. That's pretty good, you know. Like,
Love that movie. That movie's so fun
I
to
love
watch.
Solo,
It's
but
so
yeah,
fun to watch.
There was at least a lightsaber. There was at least a lightsaber. Listen, in Andor, we got a lightsaber as well in the form of a ship, and I was satisfied.
That ship was crazy. That's gotta be a
We need
journey
that
guide
Solo,
ship in
dude.
Squiggle.
Yes, sir.
That would be nuts.
God
The one
damn,
joke,
bro.
the one running joke I have about Andor, I always say with I say to MJ, is like R.I.P. Tim with 2 M's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Tim.
I was like, that's the thing with Star Wars. Like, if you have a random, like a normal name, like they have to make it weird somehow. It's like, how did they make Tim weird? It's like, oh, and the credits they give him 2 M's. I'm like,
They gave him the Savage.
Yeah.
treatment. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, Savage.
Yeah, you got names like Tim. You got names like Wedge, names like Biggs, and you just got Luke.
Embarrassed, happy.
Yeah. I'm waiting for Qui-Gon Jinn. I'm waiting for a guy named John in Star Wars, man.
yeah.
But that'll be the day.
G-I-A-N.
Yeah.
Has 2 H's.
Giahn.
No,
Fred.
it's Jawn. John.
Fred, if you had to put all your poker chips right now in one live action TV show,
Oh, yeah.
what show would you put your chips in?
I mean, you already know the answer, bro. I love Kenobi, dude.
Yeah.
It's my favorite joke. I love the fact that episode 6 just kind of wrapped up everything perfectly, you know?
Mhm.
I love Kenobi, dude. It's just, even the whole Finding Nemo thing, like, I can't be mad at it. And you know I am a day one Leia hater, bro. Day one Leia hater, and I still love Kenobi. So,
Seeing Qui-Gon was straight up a tear jerker, at least for me, honestly.
yeah.
Well, took you long enough.
The fuck you mean? I've been calling you this whole show.
Yeah, you ain't picked up my calls.
Master. You just were not ready.
Oh, who this?
So a couple months ago, me and Jute, we hop on Disney Plus, and we're like, "Yo, you want to watch this new season of Visions, dog?"
Fuck, man.
Yeah, I like Visions. I like Visions.
Bro,
I really wish. I really wish Star Wars would do a Marvel's what. You know, like Visions is
Well,
cool.
that's kind of what Visions is, though.
It kind of, but not in the sense of what if. It's still story driven in the sense of
Yeah.
not in the same realm. You know.
hey, you had Boba
Honey.
Fett.
You forgot your school lunch.
Yeah.
Let me just interrupt your important shit. I was off after that one.
There were, I feel like there was some good episodes in season 2, but like I'm trying to remember. I feel like season 2 is very forgettable compared to season 1.
Me
like,
and
I feel like
Jute, I shit you not, we watched the first 6 episodes. We'd get like 5 minutes into an episode, be like, "This is ass." Next. This one's ass. Next.
Well, thankfully, most of the episodes are only 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it was terrible. Season 2, man. Even season 1, I only had a couple that I actually enjoyed. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
not.
there's a couple bangers and a couple of floppers, I think, for sure.
Yeah, and maybe
You know-
it's because
you
I'm
know
not
who probably- You know who probably really likes Visions?
people who like
Scrim.
Japanese cartoons.
Thrawn.
Thrawn, I bet he does.
He's like the art.
Thrawn.
Oh,
in
that
and
art
of it-
episode was fucking sick.
Yeah. Was that in season 2 or 1?
Which one?
Season 2.
See,
Where she's like,
oh, the Sith
I'm
girl.
a Jedi no more.
Yeah.
I gotta say, out of the two
like that's everyone.
seasons, the second season with the lady with the 2-colored staff, that was my favorite episode.
That was the first episode.
Yeah, that was my favorite. A lot of people didn't like it. I'm like, okay.
So the one thing about Visions, I feel like and this was my take from season 1 and season 2. I feel like they did the same thing a little bit, but like I thought the idea of Visions was so cool because I was like, you're getting all these different huge companies that are like well known for anime and like animation, just all kinds of stuff, and you're giving them free reign to do whatever they want. And I'm
In
like,
the
that's
world of
such
Star Wars.
in the world of Star Wars, do whatever you want in your animation style. I'm like, that it sounds like a cool ass idea. The only problem with it was everybody wanted to write about being a Jedi, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like every episode was like the same thing. I'm like, a kid leaving their family to be a Jedi, or you know what I mean. I'm just like, I feel like I'm just watching the same thing in like different filters on, which I'm like, I don't blame them because that's what everybody wants to write about. Everyone wants to write about being a Jedi, but I'm like, why don't you do something else, like something a little different, but
more creative-esque?
Well, it's not that they're not creative.
Explore a different theme.
Yeah, they're all picking the same theme.
Yeah,
they're all writing about a Jedi doing this or a Jedi doing that. It's like, or a person becoming a Jedi or rediscovering they're a Jedi. I'm like, it's the same thing over and over and over and over. Some of the episodes are completely different. Like the one episode I actually thought was kind of funny was the in season 2 was the one about the pod race, or not the pod racing. There was like I forget what it was, but it was like the claymation episode, and I thought that one was great because it was different. It was kind of funny. It included Wedge Antilles. Like Wedge Antilles was leading a school of like kids as pilots. I was like, I think that's kind of cool, you know.
I will say I did like the Native American episode.
Yeah, 2 sisters.
Yeah, that one was
bad,
tight.
Yeah.
Native American lore. I got native in me, so it was cool to see, man. It was cool to see.
I got the cooler one in me. I got Alaskan native, baby.
We don't get a check like Jute does, but it is what it is. If like, are you guys anime fans? I'm not. Of course, Jude is.
Fucking Krillin.
Jude is. I know Fred is, but like you two, because
I like Dragon Ball Z.
If there's I feel like I don't watch anime for the sake of anime. If I watch a show that's anime, I'm watching it because of the show. I'm not like, I want to go to the next anime or the next anime. I'm like, I like this show. It just happens to be an anime, and I'm like, it doesn't bother me. So I don't know if that counts if I'm an anime fan or not. Probably not.
Same. The only anime I think I would watch, and I don't even know if it's in the realm or category as anime, but Dragon Ball Z is my go-to.
That's anime.
You know? Yeah, it's like one of my. I haven't even seen anything else besides that, and Dragon Ball Z is really awesome.
God, MJ, you fucking weeb.
The thing about anime is that it really gets pushed together as one big thing when it's really not. It's a lot of different genres, a lot of different storytellings, you know, like that's like one big thing that needs to be like factored in. You know, it's like when I say I love anime, like there's a lot of anime that I would not watch because it does not interest me at all. But there's a lot that I do like as well, you know. So like. The same thing with like Star Wars, kinda, you know. Like, there's probably a couple of things in Star Wars that if I'm watching, like, I'm not watching that again. But
Same.
There's a lot of stuff in Star Wars that I love. Yeah.
For example, like the Resistance show, that Young Jedi Adventures show.
I watched that.
I watched that. Yeah, I watched that too.
Fucking nerds, dog.
We both told each other. We watched it the same night.
Bunch of
so
nerds.
what? I'm almost 30 watching a Disney little one, literally.
And you know, the only reason why I watched it was because I was like, the episodes were like 3-4 minutes long. I'm like, I can sit through this.
It
and
was
like,
shorter than Visions.
Yeah, and I was like, it still wasn't good. And I'm like, I still wish I didn't watch it. But I was like, it was like I had to because it's like 3 minutes. I'm like, I'm gonna click on it.
It was something I put on when I was passing out for bed. Literally, like I never watched the full thing. Like I was asleep in that.
I unfortunately made myself dinner, and I was like, I'll watch it and enjoy this. I'm like,
huh,
man,
this made my dinner suck.
Was better. Yeah,
dinner was better.
Is there any of these? So in the animated contenders,
Bad Batch.
You guys tell me what you haven't watched. So we got Clone Wars, Rebels, Tales of the Jedi, Bad Batch, Visions.
I haven't finished Resistance. I haven't seen the second season.
Bro, that is still on your mind because nobody brought that up.
So here, okay, so this is going to be a very hot take. A very hot take.
Mine's hotter.
I think out of the animated shows that Dave Filoni has worked on, like, you know, Clone Wars, Rebels, and then they went to Resistance, and then Bad Batch, I think Resistance had the better season 1.
Okay.
I really do. I think Clone Wars season 1 was awful. And, you know, they even say when they go back to it, they're like, oh, the animation looks like shit. Yeah. Rebels season 1
cringy.
Is very hard to tolerate Ezra.
Yep.
It's very hard to tolerate Ezra. For whatever reason, Resistance season 1 I thought was super interesting and cool because it sets up the show as like this MMO type environment, like this RPG type environment. Like here's your main character. The entire season basically takes place on this giant platform, and you go doing missions and side quests here and there, trying to get off this platform or trying to progress into the next area or the next part of the story. And I was like, that almost feels like an RPG type or MMO type video game. I was like, the characters are very cringy, a lot of them were, but some of the concepts I think were really cool. Like being able to see pirates and being able to see like ex-Imperial, ex-Republic starfighters that convert their ships into racers, and I was like, that is such a cool idea, even though they didn't really do much with the racers. But I thought it had a stronger season 1. I might change my mind if I go back and rewatch it, but I never got around to season 2. I just never. I think I tried watching it, and I was just like, I gave up like after like 5 minutes.
Interesting. But, okay. Yeah, I've never sat down and watched it. Just the way that. The
art style is definitely weird. I definitely don't think the art style works. I don't think it works for the show. I think if they went with like a Clone Wars or Rebels type art style, I think it might be more appealing. But yeah, I definitely think the art style hurts.
You talking about Rebels, right?
No, Resistance.
What is that?
What?
I'm watching the trailer for it.
Oh, Resistance?
Yeah.
I'll chime in here. So, I haven't seen Resistance. I haven't seen Resistance, and I will man up and say I haven't watched the beginning of Clone Wars. I watched the 2D animation, but not the newer Clone Wars. I did watch the ending of the Clone Wars because I had to. Yeah, for sure. But for terms of animation, Bad Batch is phenomenal. I don't understand why a lot of people hate it.
I understand it. I understand why. Here's why.
No, he's great. He's your goofy uncle.
No, I think Bad Batch is sick. The reason why it gets hate is because they release it weekly and there's filler episodes. If you're waiting a week for a 25-minute filler episode, then of course you're going to be pissed off about it. If they put it out in literally batches of like 3 or 4, maybe even like 2 or 3 a week, and one of those episodes is providing some story, then I think it wouldn't get as much hate. But
especially since some of the filler episodes are like back to back, and you're like, I'm trying to like this show, but it's been a month since anything.
But that same statement can be applied to some of the live action shows that we've received. You know, not all shows or not all episodes of the live action shows are bangers.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
The issue is with Bad Batch, it's like 16 episodes, and when you're literally waiting a month for something to happen, you know, it's like it's tough.
You know, with the live action shows, like they have a formula. They're only 8 episodes long, with the exception of Andor. So you know, by like episode 4 or 5, we're gonna have some progression because we're already halfway through the show. Like we have to. Otherwise, it's gonna be a crappy show like Mando season 3. But yeah, no, Bad Batch. I think the one thing with Bad Batch is I always say it's a polarizing show. I think the good episodes are some of the best in the Star Wars animation.
Yeah, 100% agree.
And then, but the filler episodes are some of the most unwatchable episodes. Like it's either they either go 100% or they're just like don't watch. Like they don't have this like in between area where it's like, because Clone Wars does that really well. Where like, I mean, majority of Clone Wars is filler when you honestly look at it. But it's filler that's entertaining. It's still fun,
right? And
it's tolerable.
And sometimes it's world building filler.
Yes, exactly. And Bad Batch doesn't have that. It's either, I think they're 10 out of 10s or they're like 1 out of 10 episodes. Like there's no in between, and that's what makes it so hard to watch.
Yeah, I agree. If you stick it through, though, I think you'll be rewarded, if that's the right saying. You know what I mean? Like I want the next season, and I hate.
Same. I want it so bad.
Like they introduced the Doctor. And my God, he is one of the most entertaining characters, or no, sorry, that's not the right word. Intriguing characters of Star Wars, similar to Thrawn, in my opinion. Whereas, like, you look at Thrawn, and if you know his backstory, you're like, oh shit. I get that same vibe from, I don't even remember his name now. I'm just disrespecting him.
You're talking about
Dr. Kincaid, right?
Doyle McBoyle.
Yeah, that's important. Yes.
He's sick. The one character that those episodes I watch, two eyes glued to the screen, Crosshair. And I know Van Seal, I'll let you talk about Crosshair because it's more your tangent than mine, but that's probably Crosshair is my favorite animated character in any medium of Star Wars.
That's a nice take.
Yeah,
nice take.
Me too. Yeah, I was talking to Tico about this the other night. And I was like saying like I know Dave Filoni and like Lucasfilm and all that. Like they're really good at in terms of like storytelling. But like I feel like Crosshair was a hidden gem, or they didn't. I don't know if they meant for Crosshair to be as in depth as he is, because I think he has the most layers out of any character in the animated show, and like Clone Wars, Rebels, all of it. Like I think he's the most interesting character, and he's my favorite character in Bad Batch. And every episode he's in are like incredible, and they really bring Star Wars to this. I don't want to say like realistic place, but like the things Crosshair deals with are so dark, but are so true. Yeah, and I think that's what makes him so interesting, because it's like he's still a part of the Bad Batch. It's just he has a different ideology that he believes in, and he believes in it with all of his heart. So it's not like he's doing this out of spite or because he like enjoys being the bad guy. It's like he truly, this is what he believes is solely right, and I think that's what makes him so interesting, because when you have the Bad Batch and him like meet up a couple times, there's this conflict of like, the Empire's bad, or no, you guys are rogue, but like, they're both just trying to do what they think is best, and I think that's what makes him so interesting.
And it wasn't because he had an inhibitor chip, because he had that bitch removed and he still thought the way he thought. I love that about Crosshair, man. He is sick as hell. Exactly. Bro's just a soldier at heart, which
he thinks for himself. Yep.
Straight up.
I think the Bad Batch, they're just good dudes. And I think that's why they're the Bad Batch, because clones at heart are just Jango Fett, but super obedient. And I think that's why those four are more so the Bad Batch than anything, because it's like they're genetically modified clones. They're dope as shit. Issue is they have free reign of personality, so they're able to develop things like empathy and that, where other clones just couldn't have empathy, and we're striking down not only Jedi but senators, children, everything. So the Bad Batch are insane. I think it's a great show. For me, it's probably beneath Clone Wars and Rebels, but it's still really fucking good, because I think those shows are really good. Rebels for me is
I agree.
much better storytelling than Clone Wars, because I think Clone Wars is just one of those Saturday kids TV shows, but it was under a strict mandate of what George wanted to tell, what kind of world building he wanted to do for the Clone Wars. Rebels, literally, it had no reign, it had no executives putting pressure on him. I think Dave Filoni was literally just...
It was originality.
He was on his LSD grind, and he was just making whatever vision he had for Star Wars. And I think Rebels is... it's such a good fan fiction that it works, you know what I mean? It works so well, and it introduces characters. It brings reoccurring characters like Vader, and of course there's like cringe moments, but it's a kid show at the end of the day. But it is just great, and I think the stories that are told in Rebels trump Clone Wars, but the arcs in Clone Wars, I would say, are better than the arcs in Rebels, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely want to run it back real quick, because like we were talking about like the Bad Batch and how like those specific four clones had like their own like free-thinking ways. There are other clones too, like if you watch Clone Wars, the episode where Anakin gets hurt and Ahsoka has to go No, it was Anakin. Was it? Yeah, it was Anakin. Right, he got hurt, and Ahsoka had to go with the clones to get some medicine, to find his village, and to
Yeah.
find like a deserter clone that actually like he just full on has like his own family. He has a kid, he has a wife. You know, like so it showed that like there were a lot of clones out there that like were quote unquote dysfunctional. You know, like they deserted the war because they thought to themselves, "Why am I fighting in this war? I don't give a fuck about Jedi or Sith or anything. You know, it's separatists, nothing. Why am I fighting in this war?" And they deserted the war, and they went and lived their own lives. So. You know, I think that was like really interesting to see that there were more clones than just like these select few that like could think for themselves.
Yep. I will say there
I
weren't.
think, yeah,
There weren't.
Django as well. Yeah.
It's not like deserters weren't common. They had a full Republic prison filled with deserted clones, and those, in essence, became some of the more loyal stormtroopers in the end, because they just didn't see eye to eye with the Republic. But yeah, I get what you mean, Fred, for sure.
That's a good point, Fred. Like, I like that too, because like the Bad Batch doesn't just focus on the squad, because I feel like Rebels really focuses on, like, you know, the main characters, the main cast.
Yeah.
The Bad Batch really just the story really is encompassing all clones, whether they're transitioning to be stormtroopers, whether they want to retire, whether they like, you know, what's going to happen after they're too old and the Empire wants to just throw them away. Like they're trying to get their own pension fund. Like it's kind of crazy because like that's been a big question I've always wondered. Like what happens to the clones after the Clone Wars? And like everyone's like, oh, they just turned to stormtroopers. It's like I don't think they all just turned to stormtroopers, because they started doing like, you know, planetary wide recruiting, because it's cheaper that way, and that's how they get their numbers. But it's like when the clones get too old, what happens to them? And we see a little bit of that in Kenobi, where we see that one 501st trooper like asking for like, homeless, asking, spare change. But yeah, seeing like the evolution of like what happens to the clones, because like I feel like we all grew up with, you know, the prequels, right?
Yeah.
So like for me, like I think the Bad Batch show is like the Clone Wars. When the Clone Wars ends, that's like the end of an era. But I feel like the Bad Batch show is like the epilogue to like kind of like our childhood, what we grew up with.
Yeah, I agree.
I love clones, man, because it's like it's different. Like I think one day they'll make a stormtrooper show where they'll just follow around like two buddies. One of them really doesn't want to be there. The other one's just there because like his dad wanted him to be a stormtrooper.
It's not going to be a stormtrooper. It's going to be... Let me clear my tongue for this one. Iden Versio. Inferno Squad.
That'd be a fire show. Of course I'd love that. You know?
I'm all for it. I just thought of this just now because you mentioned that. But, dude, I would watch that, and it would be literally called it. Like, that's what I would name it.
Mm-hmm.
I like too would name it that. The robot chicken shorts with Gary.
yeah, deadass. I think we'll get like because I would, if I could make a show based on like me, Jute, and Fred, us three as stormtroopers, fucking around, going to work, you know, hating life, but just clocking in, clocking out.
You guys would never hit your shots. You guys would never hit your shots, stormtrooper.
like that movie Jarhead.
Yeah, 100%. Like a jarhead based around stormtroopers. I think one day there will be a stormtroopers type media, and it'll kind of give more clairvoyance to what stormtroopers went through.
I feel like the Galactic Republic era is done. I don't think you can touch it anymore.
I don't either.
Seriously.
I don't either.
And this goes to what you said previously. Like, you love the fact that Andor is revolving around like the Empire era in the original trilogy. And that goes to what I just said. Like, I believe that everything, right? Like Ahsoka, Andor, you know what I mean? Like, Bad Batch is the prequel to it, but it's still, I would say, quote unquote, in that era. You know what I mean? Tales of the Jedi, I guess, yeah, that's. But there's those shorts, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it's not a full-fledged show. So, but in my firmest, honest opinion, I believe that the Galactic Republic era is finished.
The only thing that they could do in the Galactic Republic era is a Plagueis show. That is it.
That's the prequel to the Galactic Republic.
Yeah.
Like, give me a Shakti show so I can find out how she actually dies.
We need
one canon death.
Bro, she's died like 5 times.
You're gonna get a Shock T show, and they're gonna give you a different way she dies in every episode.
Yeah, she's gonna be like
Oh my
Kenny.
God, dude.
She can be
Every
like
single
Kenny.
episode, we're all gonna be like, she's dead.
I even
Again.
think, I might be wrong on this, but I even think Lego Star Wars gave her a different version of her death too. Like
Oh
one of the
my
Lego
God,
Star Wars
I
games. 'Cause, like
believe it.
she has like 6, 7 different deaths.
Oh
in
my
canon.
God,
It's
they
kinda
killed
weird.
Shakti. And then she back.
Those bastards.
All right, so we're gonna go around the table here. I want you guys to tell me what your favorite arc was in any show, and we'll start with Juder.
Any art.
Any arc.
Annie.
In fact, I'll go first. Y'all think about it. So, there was a battle on the planet Umbara where Jedi Commander Pong Krell had the 212th go up against I think it was the 41st. And what it boiled down to was Pong Krell told both sides of the clones, hey, the Seppies have clone armor, they're disguised as clones, and they're invading us right now.
Get fucked.
The clones,
Civil War?
yeah, the clones ended up fighting each other, killing each other, and
You're evil.
yep, it turned out the 501st, they come in to support, and they have to lock up Pong Krell because he put the clones up against each other, and they were going to try him for treason. Pong Krell's like, nah, y'all can't do nothing. They're going to believe a Jedi over the clones, and then Count Dooku's going to take me, and I'm going to be his new Sith apprentice. The whole time, the 501st are trying to decide whether or not they want to not kill, but like, holy shit, we have to execute this guy.
Execute him.
And they end up executing Pong Krell, and unfortunately we lose some clones that we know and love on Umbara. We lose Heavy, we lose Fives, who ultimately sacrifices himself.
No, it was
Greatest
hard
data
case.
in
It was
the
hard
game.
case.
Hard case.
Greatest-
That's the
Not
one.
Greatest data in
Hard
service.
case, yeah.
And it was just such a it was such a roller coaster because holy shit.
Yeah, I there's 2 things I want to say about that arc, because I think that is probably one of the defining moments of the Clone Wars show, because of how dark it is. So the first thing I want to say is that's how you write a good villain.
Yeah.
When he is hated by the fan base just for him being him.
Yep.
And kind of what that, because you guys were talking about Breaking Bad, like I forget, I think Skylar White was the wife's name.
Fuck Skylar White.
Fuck.
I hate
To my
Skylar White.
point. To my point.
Fuck Skylar White, bro.
That is how you write a good
She wasn't
villain.
even a villain though.
No,
Like,
but
she
the
was
thing
just
is,
her.
but that's what I just said about Pong Krell though. Like people
Yeah.
hated him because he was him, and I thought the writing for
Yeah.
Pong Krell was so like there's an entire subreddit dedicated to how much people hate Pong Krell because of how he treated the clones, and I'm like, that is how you write a villain or someone you're supposed to hate. And I remember the actress for Skylar White was getting death threats because of how much people hated her character. Like there's a difference of hating someone's acting, kind of like how we don't like Reva, and then I just hate Skylar White because she's such a
It should die.
exactly. So
Oh, dude, I did
thought
not
they
like
did-
Skylar White.
I thought they did a great job with Pong Krell. I hate him. I still hate him. I'm like, dude, that dude is the biggest douche in all of Star Wars. I hate him.
Yeah.
And the
look at
second-
Pong Krell is like Goro in Mortal Kombat.
The second thing I want to say about the Baron arc, and I feel like it's a missed opportunity, is it never gets brought up again. in the Clone Wars. Like you never have any closure with like Anakin like saying to Rex like I'm sorry what happened or what the heck happened. Like they never talk about it again, which I think is kind of cool and also kind of a missed opportunity. I think it's cool because it's one of those things like, hey guys, we're never speaking of this.
Yeah, they just have to
again.
brush it under the fridge like it never happened.
Or it would have been nice to see some it get brought up just for some closure between Rex and Anakin. I think would have been cool. But the fact they don't talk about it just shows this never happened. Like it was so dark and bad. Like we can't let people know about it.
Yeah, because to be honest, I wouldn't want to bring up. Oh yeah, my brothers were killing my brothers. Like.
Yeah, like a game of Saw.
Because if I feel like if the Republic found out about that, then they might I feel like if that would happen in IRL, you might think well maybe the clones aren't fit for battle anymore. Maybe you know what I mean? Like it would be a PR nightmare.
I think it'd make the Jedi look like shit.
Mm-hmm. That too.
So in essence, I think the reason why it didn't get reported, the reason why it didn't get brought up to the Senate, is I think the Jedi of that era were power hungry. I'm gonna say it, but Umbara arc for me, 100% is. I'm not gonna say it's the best arc, but it's my favorite arc.
It's great. It's so good.
So what about you, Mary J?
Even though I haven't seen the full show, I still want to say that the father-son-daughter arc with Anakin is highly important. Because I think it just goes to show, just in general, I don't know if I want to say for the majority of Star Wars, but for the sense of Force users. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I'm not good with comprehension, but I want to say that arc is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, the Mortis arc is crazy.
Really good. I think it because we still don't know a whole lot about the Force. I feel like, but that arc added a lot of context and gave us even more questions and answers to the Force. Where I was like, I'm not. I'm not saying I hate on Force users or lightsaber users, but I feel like that they get overplayed so much. But when they did the Mortis arc, I was like, I'm a little bit more interested in the mythology now and the Greek god theme kind of with the brother and daughter and the father. And then apparently the mother, which wasn't even in Clone Wars, was supposed to be like Abeloth or something like that.
Yep, that bitch scary. Look her up, Jute.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was a mother.
Yeah.
That's the girl. I know.
We'll see when you have a son and a daughter.
What's her name? I'll look at her right now.
Abeloth. She's pretty freaky.
Is that actually her name in Star Wars?
Yeah.
Yes.
Abeloth.
The one interesting thing, and they have an interview on this. The Mortis arc. Darth Revan was actually originally supposed to be in it.
Yep.
And not Scion. Darth Bane. It was Bane and Revan were supposed to show up, and they have the pre-renders on YouTube if you want to look up the the unused scenes. But I was really bummed out they didn't do that. And I actually talked to Dave Filoni one time in person about that at a convention. I was asking him because I was cosplaying as Revan too. So I was like, "Hey man, why'd you cut my scene?" But he was and that's before people
why'd you cut my scene?
That's before people knew who Dave Filoni was. This is when Rebels Season 1 came out, so no one really knew him. So I just kind of bumped into him, and I was like, I knew who he was because he's just wearing his wolf shirt and his cowboy hat like he does everywhere.
Like Kenny
Kind of easy
Kane.
to spot. Yeah. So I asked him about it, and I was like, whatever happened to that? And he just told me, he's like, well, George got the final word on it. George, felt like it, he didn't want to introduce Revan or Bane yet. He's like, we're gonna do Bane in this upcoming, the Lost episodes or whatever, when they release that. But he was telling me, he was really pushing for Revan because he's a big fan of KOTOR, but he was like, George got the final word and said he didn't think it was right. And I was like, well, that's still, thanks for the honest answer. That's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
I have an off-topic question.
Sure.
I think I've already discussed this previous podcasts with Tebow and Jude. Vance, do you think we'll ever get a live-action or even animated KOTOR adaptation?
I think KOTOR is going to be a show. I really think KOTOR is going to be a show. I don't think it's going to be a movie or a movie series because I think there's just too much. there's way too much in KOTOR. And honestly, like, even if KOTOR, I don't even think you could do KOTOR 1 in like a single season. Like, there's just so much context. So
if you're doing these short 8 episodes, no.
Yeah.
No.
I feel like KOTOR has to be a Game of Thrones or Clone Wars type show where it's going to have 5, 6,
Star Wars
7
needs
seasons
something
at
like
least.
that, though, you know?
Yeah.
And Christ, man, you could do movies with it too. Like, you can do movies with it, but also have. I desperately think something like a Game of Thrones, something that's like 7, 8 seasons, with that much.
With hour-long episodes too.
Facts. You can easily do that. You can easily do that.
I originally thought would be if it was to become a thing, it would be in the form of movies. But if it was to be shows, I honestly can see it with the finales being, you know, the DR versus Malik or whatever, you know, those big finales. Like, absolutely.
Because, bro, the 100 has 7 seasons.
The what?
What?
The 100, it has 7
I thought the show was like on
seasons.
its 2nd or 3rd season. What the heck?
You know what I mean? So, like,
No, man.
KOTOR could easily have 7, at least 7.
I think it could easily break 10.
Yeah,
It could.
100%.
No, it could. And I'm just talking KOTOR 1. I'm not talking KOTOR 2 or SWOTOR, the Old Republic. Like, KOTOR 1 could easily have, like, 3, 4, or 5 seasons.
I think you introduce it with a Revan movie where him and Malik lead his followers against the Mandalorians, and that is like the prequel to the TV show, and you kick off.
That's what they do to Clone Wars.
Exactly. You kick off there. 100%. So, what's up, Freddie?
I just want to say, bro, if we're doing this live action, we need to lock down these actors for years, and I mean years, bro. I don't want some season 3 drama happening, and somebody doesn't want to do the show. I'm pissed. I don't want it to happen.
You can't recast my dark side Basti like that. No.
You know what?
You just have to scan their bodies and we're good.
Nah, just lock me into that contract. I'll play Revan myself. I'll do it. You know,
Darth Trevor.
Darth Trevor. Come on now, I'll do it. Sign me up.
Sidekick, Darth Bent.
I've always said if anyone is going to play Canderous, I want it to be the villain from Avatar, the Colonel.
Yes.
That guy fits.
Yes.
Let me get oh man, let me get Jute to be my voice of HK-47. That'd be fire. We'll get Fred as my Zalbar, and
Kate
then
Beckinsale is Bastila.
Kate Beckinsale.
I
Never.
don't know how old she is though.
I could play a mean Jolie.
Kate Beckinsale's 50. That is not gonna happen.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Her daughter then, if she has one.
Lily Motion.
Let me shave my head
Mosheen.
though. Let me shave my head. Shave the bottom part of my beard, so it's just, what does he have, a mustache? He doesn't have a beard, right? It's a mustache.
You want to be? No, you could be Darth Bandon.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that fits. Yeah, sure, thanks.
You're welcome, bro. So,
I'm fine with it.
all right, on the count of 3, I want everyone to name a era that you would want a TV show to be made in. All right, think about it, ponder it, and on the count of 3, just shout it. All right, we'll start with Jute. 1, 2, 3.
New Jedi Order.
New Jedi Order. Okay.
Welcome.
You've always been a big Rey fan, so I see that for you, man. MJ?
I'm gonna have to go with SWTOR or KOTOR.
The Old Republic? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Both of those are literally like 30 seasons, maybe 50.
Yeah.
Let's go with 1,000.
Van Seal?
maybe
Just to be safe. Yeah, Old Republic. 100%.
Fred?
I want to see Finn in the First Order. Yes, please. Give me Finn in the First Order.
Hell yeah. That'd be tight to see like the upbringing of a stormtrooper. Maybe that's your stormtrooper
Yes,
show,
sir.
you know? Maybe that's your
True.
Stormtrooper
First
show.
Stormtrooper show. FN, I don't know his numbers.
Mine would be a live action adaptation of the Heir to the Empire. So I want Thrawn trilogy combined into a TV show. I want a Thrawn show after Ahsoka. Thrawn is my fucking guy. I love Thrawn. I just finished the Ascendancy trilogy. Christ, he's amazing. I'm now listening to the canon Thrawn trilogy, and I just want to see more about Thrawn, you know. I just want to see more about Thrawn, because him with the Chiss Ascendancy, with the Chiss Alliance, and truthfully, I think that Thrawn is going to be... My sneaky prediction was, I think Thrawn is going to be the inventor of the First Order. I think it's Thrawn's baby, and something's gonna happen where he dies, or maybe he retires, moves to Aldi's Island. But nah, I just think Thrawn's too good of a character, and he's too deep of a character to not explore more. And I love to hate that Star Wars has these characters that you want more of, but you don't get to see. But I think that the leave off of episode 6 and the start of episode 7 are just too different in terms of where the worlds are at, and you need a core explanation of what happens in the middle to get us to episode 7. And I can't do it by myself with my book. I'm gonna need Star Wars to actually make something canon with Thrawn, with Mara Jade, with the Heir to the Empire. So how would you guys feel about getting more Thrawn?
Well, Elon Musk. I feel like Disney. So the one thing I'm a little bit worried about for is we're gonna get Thrawn, and then we're not gonna get Thrawn like right after. Because I mean, we had him in Rebels season 3, and then season 4 came around and he was done. And it was like that was it. And then we were like, "Where's Thrawn?" Dave Filoni was just like, "Oh no." It's like, what do you mean? So obviously, I think we're gonna get another show or season of him in some sort. But it does kind of feel like Disney is recycling a little bit of Marvel in here. I feel like they're playing Thrawn as like the Thanos of Star Wars a little bit.
And I think that's okay though.
That's okay because Thanos is a great villain and everyone loved him.
Yeah.
It's just you know, when we do get like him at his peak, it's just like then it's like, oh well, they beat him. But the Heir to the Empire thing, yeah, it would be epic if we did that. I think they're planning a movie. I think that's what it's called, Heir to the Empire. So,
Indeed, yes, it is.
We'll see, but
Filoni.
But I think you're right. I think it would be really cool to see Thrawn as like the architect of the First Order.
That'd be nice to see, man. That'd be really nice to see. So in Star Wars media, do you think that he's just gonna be like sprinkled in throughout, or do you think he's gonna get like his own headline? Because he's a character that's big enough to headline. I mean, we had Cassian Andor as a headliner. So a character as big as Thrawn, do you think that they're only ever going to use him as a engine character, or will he get his time in the light?
I mean, he's getting his own movie.
True.
I'm going to go with the sprinkled theory because I think, you know, the one thing I always go back to is we all want things that we can't have. Mm-hmm. And I think that, I think when it comes to Thrawn as a character, everybody, of course, wants as much as we can of him. But I think for Thrawn, they need to focus on the quality and not the quantity with him. Mm-hmm. You know, he has all these one-liners that are so great from Rebels, so great from the book trilogy and stuff like that. Especially when he talks about like exercise, I love that part so much. But I'm just like, I think Thrawn is that type of character where you only need him for a little bit, and like that's what makes his character so like amazing. It's like you know, he may be only on screen for like a couple minutes, but he had the most impactful minutes of screen time. And of course, we always want more of that character, but it's like I think the more you get it, the less value you have, in that quality.
Yeah, I can see that, and I wouldn't even be pissed at that as long as what we're getting is good, consistent, and canonical progress in his character, because he has too much sauce to not dip in it a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, he's too saucy. Him as a character, he's too deep of a character. It's not like this is a Greedo show. Like, this is Thrawn, fucking Grand Admiral Thrawn, who has been around since the 90s, you know? My dad had the OG Thrawn trilogy. He's since passed away. He won't get to see what happens with Thrawn in canon, but like, Thrawn's a beloved character for the OGs. So I'm curious, do you guys think that the casual group, the weekend warriors of the world, who really only watch these shows when they have time, do you think that they're gonna enjoy a character like Thrawn? Because Thrawn to me is a lot like Tarkin, but even more fucking layers to him, you know? Whereas Tarkin, he's really only appreciated when you know his story and you know how much he despised the Republic. But Thrawn, man, I agree with Ju. Like, they better enjoy him, because imagine if people's least favorite thing about Ahsoka is Thrawn. You know, how would that look?
Crazy.
I think people will enjoy it. I think people will enjoy it because of how original Thrawn is. Like, I think, like you said, the Weekend Warriors, they just watch the show because it's Disney, or because they're Marvel fans and they want to support Disney. Thrawn is unlike any other villain in Star Wars for like a million reasons. You know, they're probably going to see a blue character and they'll be like, what the heck? Like, what's a chiss? Like, they're not even going to know like what he is. They're going to be very intrigued. I mean, I think aesthetically his design is so good. Like, the colors that he has, place like the red eyes, I'm like, dude, it's great. And then on top of that, they got the same voice actor, so I mean, like, the dude is gonna nail it. That was my biggest concern, was if they weren't gonna go with Lars Mikkelsen. I was like, but he did such a great job with the voice. I mean, his voice is incredible. Perfect. Yeah.
I loved it, and I'm really glad that, because maybe it's not, because I've seen mock-ups for like John Hamm, a bunch of other actors as Thrawn, but for me, Thrawn's less about the appearance, facial expressions, and he's more about the voice and the brooding essence. And it's not like Lars Mikkelsen's like 5'10", you know, he's 6'4".
I'm losing it.
No, you good, man. So listen, boys.
It got really hot in my room. Holy shit.
Nah, you good, man. In order for, you know, time constraints, we've already taken time out of a lot of people's schedules today. We're gonna nix the trivia segment.
I was gonna win anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask one question. Who did Leia Organa kiss more? Luke or Han?
Luke.
Damn it.
The answer is Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
4 times.
Baby. Back to back.
She only kissed Han 3 times.
That's why Ben's all screwed up.
Alrighty,
Keep seeing his mom and uncle making out.
We've got ourselves a bunch of galactic dispatches to read for you guys, and we are going to start out with, once again, Sarah from New York. Shout out to you for sending in so many questions. If you guys want to send in questions, Star Wars Tap on Instagram or Twitter, or the comment section below. So Sarah asks us, after the events of episode 6, what happened to the remnants of the Empire, and how did the New Republic establish control in the galaxy?
Good questions.
So in essence, the Empire, It's kind of like if the zombie apocalypse broke out, you would just want to get together with your homies, people that you trusted. And that's kind of how the Empire was. They were the fugitives. They were at large. It wasn't like in the galaxy. They had to go to the outer regions where really only smugglers and crime lords went anyways. And as far as the New Republic, they kind of just adopted the Senate that got disassociated with the Empire, and they really brought back, there was nothing really new about it. They kind of just adopted the Galactic Republic's variation of the Senate. Mon Mothma became the first chancellor of the New Republic. Shout out to her. And you saw the red flags day one. You get why it failed again. You get why people lost confidence with it. So while the good guys did win in the end, at the same time, they also lost. It was a ticking time bomb, pretty much.
Hot take on that too. In Mando season 3, there was one part, the Dr. Doofy episode. That's not his real name, but I can't remember his real name. He's talking to like some senators and stuff like that, and they're like saying like, "Oh, we don't care about the Empire or the Republic. Like they just want to make money."
Yep.
So like you said, like they just adopted, like they don't care who's in control. Like they'll play ball as long as these bureaucratic politicians are getting their bills pushed or whatever. Like they really don't care.
Valid.
Yeah, it was so messy too. It took them a really long time to get things under control, and by the time they did, like you saw in Andor, no one really gave a damn at the Senate meetings, because why would they? The Empire's not around. Like, what do they have to be afraid of? Nothing. So it wasn't like there was also control in the galaxy. They kind of were just like mall cops, and that's how people viewed them as well. Like, it's not like you have a gun or anything, but
What do you do? Shoot me.
they also got really cocky with things. And they never, because they just weren't tested anymore. And that's why the First Order was so easily like to regain control, not only because they had a fucking planet killer weapon, but also because they took Imperial remnants and kind of re-engineered their thinking and took over the galaxy again with order and control. So it was easy peasy.
And what's wrong with that? I mean, come on.
You're beginning to sound like a separatist. You got us on the next one, Jupe?
This one's from John from San Francisco, California. What can you tell us about the new generation of Force-sensitive characters like Kylo Ren and Rey in the sequel trilogy, and how do they impact the Star Wars storyline? Well, what I can tell you about them is they a bunch of bitches. Fuck those sequels. I hope in the fucking shit I was hoping that they make, they kill them. And a new breed comes up. We just skip them. Give me the little kid with the fucking broom as the leader, bro. Fuck it.
The kid with the broom.
He's got his special little fucking ring, yeah.
What if he wasn't a Jedi and just, in fact, a wizard?
Shit.
What if he had
Harry Potter, bro.
what if the ring was magnetic, and the broom
He's like
was
the
made
one
out of
dude
metal?
In Obi-Wan, he's tricking people. Oh, I'm a Jedi.
Oh, that's right.
Jedi Knight. That was a good character. I like characters like that. They fit into the storyline simply as, hey, this is the nephew of Luke. This is the newest heir of the Skywalkers,
Mm-hmm.
How you feel about them, Fred?
I loved it when Kylo killed his father. Yes.
Bro's a menace.
Dude is like that, though.
Give your pappy
Very
a
small,
hug.
is that guy.
On Ja.
I mean, obviously the episode 7 through 9 aren't exactly my favorites, but like there's still some pretty cool stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that Rey became like really close to Han and basically saw him as a dad, and then watched the person that she eventually falls in love with murder him right in front of her eyes, you know.
See, they had to have some crazy like forced FaceTime, mutual masturbation type beats, bro. They had to, bro. How did they get that close that quickly, man?
Well, because remember when they're in that hut in episode 8, their fingertips touched. The tips touched.
Come here, Juder.
We the ones.
Going home.
Oh my god.
Now they had to have been on some late night forced FaceTime calls, bro.
They own.
Dude, for real. What that's sending me right now, dude. Force FaceTime.
Vansu, you got us on the next question?
Where are the questions posted? Sorry, I'm like...
No, you're good. You're new. Bottom of the document.
And where's the document?
It's in the archive server.
Classic.
General.
Oh god, I'm in the wrong... Okay, I'm in yours. I'm in yours. Alright, give me 2 seconds.
I'll DM it to you.
I'm looking at it right now. Okay, so we just did... Oh, this is very organized and detailed. I'm actually impressed. So we just did, who did we just do?
We just did John, so yeah.
San Francisco. Okay, Alex from Chicago, Illinois. Can you explain the significance of the character Thrawn in the Star Wars expanded universe and how he fits into post Return of the Jedi timeline?
I think he's gone through that like a lot, right? You know.
I feel like okay. So Thrawn's original canon is different than what he is now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
but they brought him back during Rebels, which I think they did a really great job at doing that. But his significance is he is the new threat, not just for the Rebels, but for the whole. Yeah, he is basically they're setting him up as the Thanos. He is the big villain, the big reveal. He has been presumed dead for a very long time, but now people are thinking he's still alive, we can bring him back. And if he is still alive, the significance there is that he is going to be the engine or the spark or the flame, whatever you want to call it, that's going to reignite this drive for control and order through a new empire, a new or the Imperial remnant. So he is going to be not like the new emperor, but essentially that's going to be his role. Like he is going to be in charge, and he was this great military leader where everybody respected him because Thrawn is an alien, and the Empire hated aliens. If you ever watch Star Wars movies, you don't see a lot of women, and you don't see a lot of any aliens at all.
Hell
in the
yeah.
Empire.
Hell
Like,
yeah,
it's just- Hell yeah, brother. But Thrawn was an alien. He had
Don't
blue
shake your head,
skin.
MJ.
He had blue skin and like indigo hair. And Palpatine had so much respect for him that he made him basically like next to Vader. That's how important
second
of a
in
character
command.
he
He was literally above Vader.
Yeah, he was above Vader essentially, which is crazy to think about because like this character is like, and a lot of people despise him for being an alien, but like the Emperor was like, hey, this guy's pushing results. He is incredible.
He's pushing results. He's pushing me.
Have you seen his
clocking
paperwork?
in.
Have you seen his data? Look at the graphs.
He's never been tardy.
He's
Bro's
doing
force
his
lightning at the graphs. Like, look at those numbers.
He's filling out those TPS reports on time. So so he's gonna be the new villain, and the reason it's crazy is because you have this new republic that's growing, that's in almost this denial that they're like, oh no, he's dead, but they're like, yeah, but we never confirmed it. Like, no, it's not possible.
That shit pissed me off.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those. I feel like the New Republic is thinking like it's a big problem, but if it's out of sight, it's out of mind, kind of a thing. So
out of mind.
I have a feeling Thrawn's gonna show back up, and he's gonna whoop some ass.
Bro, the
he's gonna
New
whoop some
Republic,
ass.
New Republic are a bunch of hippies on Ja. They're just
100%.
existing.
I don't think he's gonna whoop some ass in season 1. So that's my hot take. for the day. I will catch y'all in a dumpster.
Nah, someone's
But yeah,
gonna die.
To wrap up to answer, like, Thrawn is just an incredible character. He's incredibly intelligent, and like he's one of those villains that you almost root for him.
He's on par with Emperor Palpatine when it comes to intellectual
You had it.
Intellectuality.
Let's end with that.
Agreed. Fred, you got the next one?
Yeah. So the next one is from Emily in New York.
No, you're reading the wrong one.
No, he's doing the right one.
No, I'm just bullshit. I'm just
I was like, that means I read the wrong one.
He did that last week. And he came to me a couple days ago, and he was like, "Oh, I just want to make sure I got the right one."
For sure.
So Emily in New York says, "Hello there. Do you guys want an Obi-Wan Kenobi season 2? And what storyline would you pitch for the show? Thanks for the chill podcast. I love listening to it while I deliver food. Love from NYC." Well, first of all, 07, thank you for delivering food to scholars that are too lazy to go get my stone.
General Emily.
Facts.
See, you got me like twisted here, right? Because I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. Everyone knows this by now. I love Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I feel like the show doesn't need a season 2. It ended beautifully. If we get a season 2, we have it, eh? We don't really need anything from
Yeah, I think a season 2 of Kenobi would have to be a Vader show, right? Issue is, you can't have them. I don't want them to fight again. I don't want that.
They can't.
Yeah, they left it off.
Same.
There's no way.
If they fight again, it's so forced that the joke that I'm trying to look for, it's there. It's there.
What about this? What about this idea? What about, instead of a season 2, because a lot of people say that the entire Kenobi show could have just been done in one movie. What if they just did a movie?
They
released on Disney Plus?
They could, but what would the storyline be?
I mean,
it's a tough.
If it was like an hour and a half long movie, I mean, I feel like you can do something of like him just training with Qui-Gon and, I don't know, buying Luke more Star Wars toys. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, I think
I don't want to watch it.
But yeah, let's not.
Let's call devil's advocate and say that they made it 6 episodes, just like this one. The first 2 episodes, maybe the first episode only, you show like a Rocky montage of Obi-Wan training with Qui-Gon. And
Bam, bam, bam.
maybe one episode you could
just punching a Force Ghost punching bag.
Yeah, you could dedicate to like hunting down, or not hunting down, but like fighting off Chrysanthemum and some Tuskens in that. But then what do you do for 4 episodes after that? I think it's
Here
just...
comes Dr. Afra.
Would you implement Dr. Afra into it? Like, it's tough.
I think
really
Dr.
tough.
Afra could be a TV show.
Or would it be like Book of Boba Fett, and half the time you're with another character anyways? You're seeing like Vader and Boba Fett trying to hunt
Are you doing
down...
like a flashback half the time, or?
I honestly, in my opinion, because Afra, and I don't know if this is I'm not gonna say it. I feel like a strong female lead that's attractive carry more than Vader cameo.
I agree. I think
Strong female
Dr.
lead.
Afra would be a 6 show. I don't think anyone who was like actually read the comics would disagree with that. But
Yes.
I would say no to wanting a season 2 of Kenobi, just because I don't know where you go with it. And that's not me trying to stifle them creatively, but you just don't want to oversaturate that story. Like, you can't have Anakin and Obi-Wan intermingle again, and at the same time, what are you gonna do with old Ben Kenobi? Because literally all he did was watch after Luke. How much more drama could you intertwine with that character? Not
While
much.
babysitting Luke.
Yeah, not much. And Christ Almighty, if we have to see a Sweet 16, Leia gets drunk on Coruscant, and he's got to go pick her up and save her and Uber her home.
I
Like,
mean emo too.
yeah,
Let's go. I mean Dory.
I'm not trying to see I'm sorry, Emily. I love Obi-Wan.
That's actually crazy. It's like I've never talk about like the teenage years of Luke and Leia. Like, I can't even imagine the teenage years of Leia. It's just like,
I can't imagine the teenage years of Luke. That man's cringy as hell in the movies, bro. Imagine him like with acne, bro. Like, why can't I go see the power converters?
I just want to shoot a womp rat.
Basically, Chris from Family Guy.
We're no big than 6 meters or whatever the line was.
I'd have to give a pass, though. Let's take a vote.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you would want a season 2.
Nope.
And it's not raised.
Yeah, I think it's unanimous that we don't want a season 2 of Kenobi. Not because we don't like the character, but because we love the character and we don't want it to be oversaturated.
We feel that season 1 was kind of like the end of the bridge, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Anakin and Obi-Wan will forever be intertwined. You can't make the show and have them meet up again. You just can't. Unless it's like, hey, Obi-Wan, fuck you.
Anakin did the Obi-Wan screen. There's
What's your name?
They force FaceTime each other, just cussing each other out.
This Force FaceTime needs to be a literal thing in the past tomorrow.
Like Vader's sleeping, right? And then Obi-Wan FaceTimes him and then wakes him up.
The only thing I'd want to see is like Obi-Wan like, hey, Anakin, look who I brought. Annie Bobani, what's happened to you? Make that canon, man. Bring back Jar Jar.
I can see Qui-Gon more so than fucking...
Hey, Vader, guess what? I'm hanging out with Qui-Gon.
Nerd.
You lost, bitch.
Oh my god, bro.
You got the next one, MJ?
Yeah. So we got Alex from out there in Texas, in this capital of Austin. His question is, The Mandalorian has been a huge success for 2 seasons. How does it fit into the broader Star Wars narrative? Especially after the events of episode, 6?
Yep.
Yeah. And what do we know about its future?
It should have been done after 2.
Facts.
Agreed.
If they set sail, like if they said, all right, that's The Mandalorian, done and dusted. After, we'll give them the first couple episodes, the first 60 minutes, like Van Seal said. Bro gets redeemed. He's back in the clan. W. And let's say he go like
Skywalker.
Because at some point these shows do have to end. You know,
Yes.
Would y'all be satisfied with that, or would you want more?
I think the shows need to end. I don't necessarily think the characters need to end.
Yeah, that's fair.
Agreed.
And what I think is like, so I've never really cared for the character of Din Djarin or the Mando or Mandalorian, whatever you want to call him, because I always felt like that character was a vessel for newer Star Wars fans. I feel like when I watched The Mandalorian season 1 and 2, I was more interested and excited about the people he was meeting and the places he was going, as opposed to the guy who I don't really get to see his face or see any emotion with.
Mm-hmm.
I was excited for Grogu.
So I think he could. I think he should keep showing up. I think the character's like good enough to show up in other shows, but I do think after season 2, like, mission accomplished. You know what I mean? Like, we returned the child, we did the thing, but they're like, nah, we want more.
I did enjoy watching him disintegrate motherfuckers, though. That was very nice.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Jawas.
Yeah, just no reason. Smoking some Jawas. Disintegrating Jawas. Not like one blaster bolt couldn't have done it.
Not even checking to see if they're women or children. He's just like, nope, we're just shooting them. We're just straight up just shooting whoever we see.
Yep.
Got his hunting license.
Yeah. Bro was unhinged. Hitting him with the thingy-majigger.
This jaw was too small to shoot. You have to put him back in the wild.
If we got a new episode or a new season, it needs to feel like a Western again, because I think that's when it was at its peak.
100%.
The themes, I just didn't enjoy the season 3. But hey,
The
ho,
coldest
farewell.
line in all of Star Wars will still to this day be, I can bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
Yeah, don't matter to me.
Cold.
I'm getting paid either way.
Buxington.
Next question's from Kevin out there in Detroit, Michigan. And he asks, the Star Wars prequel area has been explored extensively, and I think we can all agree on that. Are there any plans to delve further into the post-ROTJ era in upcoming movies or series? I think the only movie that's planned is that Heir to the Empire movie, as far as post-Return of the Jedi. But they're actually going pre-prequel era with, like, the Acolyte. That's coming out, and that's before the prequel area, Christ's sake.
That's High Republic, I believe.
I think so too.
Damn.
And then they have the first Jedi movie that's going all the way back to the beginning of like whatever. I know it's going like, it's funny. It's like they keep dancing around the Old Republic. It's like they're going in front of it, behind it, but they don't want to touch it yet. They're like,
maybe because they
not
are
yet.
just building that substance, you know, like because KOTOR, the Old Republic, it's only known by
it's
this...
huge. It's pretty overwhelming. It really
Yeah.
is overwhelming. I always feel like the Star Wars movies and Star Wars shows are on the surface, like, you know, when you see an iceberg, it's like that's what you see above the water, and then the Old Republic is everything below.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. Drew, you got the next one?
We got this one from Shane from Portland, Oregon. I'm curious about the Star Wars comics and novels. Are there any essential reads that delve into the post-Return of the Jedi era, providing more details about the characters and events?
Off the top of the dome, yeah. Canonically, there's so many. Then they keep bringing more out. Shadows of the Sith is a really good book. The Thrawn trilogy, both Thrawn trilogies. There's the canon version and the Legends version. Legends is pretty buck wild. It's kind of all over the place. The canon version's a bit more abbreviated, but I'm not a big comic guy. You guys into comics?
Hell yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, I'm not the physical copies though, like digital comics for sure.
Yeah. Are there any that you recommend for Shane?
I would say find a
anything
favorite character you enjoy and just look it up.
Yeah, 100%.
And then a comic, and then boom.
That's the Juder method.
Yeah.
Yeah, another read too. So Tebow, you dropping a book soon, right? You know, so.
Mm-hmm. I am. Post Return of the Jedi book. I am writing a book.
Yes, sir.
The one recommendation I would do it's not really post Return of the Jedi. It's kind of like actually during that time period. I don't think it's canon anymore, but it's one of my favorite stories, and like it was so great in the 90s, and early 2000s was Shadows of the Empire.
Such a good one.
Shadows of the Empire, like, oh man,
You'd
it's
like
it's
that
like
one, Jude.
It's like the Empire Strikes Back that never was. Even though Empire Strikes Back is so good, Shadows of the Empire was just like, it just added so much
It's like
more
everything
context
else that's going on.
with that you don't see on screen. Yeah,
Yep.
it's super, super cool.
That's where you get your Dash Rendar.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's such a good book. And the characters in it are dope as shit, too. Like, you want to read more and more about it.
It dives more into IG-88 and Boba Fett, and you know the whole capture of Han Solo, which is really cool because a lot of people think that it's like Empire Strikes Back, you know, Han Solo gets captured, and then Boba just goes straight to Tatooine. It's like it's not just like a one-stop trip for him. It's like there's an entire story of how he actually got to Tatooine because he didn't get there right away. It was pretty cool what happens.
Star Wars is not simple by any means. It is a very complicated story and requires, I think, at least 98% attention.
I don't like sand.
That's the other 2%.
It's coarse and it's rough and it gets everywhere.
Yeah, especially in bad places.
Not like you. Soft and delicate. Just want to cuddle up next to you.
Let me force push a pear in your mouth.
Stop it, Anakin! You've killed not only the men, but the women and children too. I don't want to put the murderer.
No, I don't want any
Anakin,
more pears.
What part of how I'm dressing makes you think I want to fuck you, man? Like, come on, dude.
This is how I dress when I want to read a book, like Shadows of the Empire. I'm actually going to pick up the hard copy version right now as we're mid-recording. Van Seal, you got us on the next question.
Yeah, so we got Mark from Atlanta. Question, in the Star Wars Expanded Universe, what are some of the key storylines or events that explore the rebuilding of the Jedi Order and challenges that face in the wake of Episode 6? So a lot of it isn't canon anymore, but I think a lot of the key storylines are, the kids you get from Luke and, Mara Jade, who's Luke's wife. I don't think she's canon, as of right now, but it'd be cool. But they have like 3 children, I believe. I think Han and Leia have 4 children. And they're kind of like the new Jedi. Well,
busy.
Han's healthy. But
I feel like I could start a Jedi Order with my family. But anyway,
Y'all some Jawas.
But no, I think the story of the kids is pretty important. Again, it's not canon. It's still good to read, and I still think that if you're not a fan of the new trilogy, the sequel trilogy, I still think it's worth checking out. But rebuilding the Jedi Order, I think some of the really cool Jedi that are more interesting that you get to learn about is when Luke starts to build the Jedi Temple on Yavin 4, and you have characters like Kyle Katarn, Kyle Katarn is probably one of, not just the coolest Jedi, but one of the cooler Star Wars characters, because he's kind of like he's a Jedi with a loose cannon that doesn't like to play by the rules, kind of a thing. Like, he's a scoundrel, he's a scoundrel and a Jedi at the same time, and he's a really great character. He's really cool, and I hope they bring him back. My casting with him would be Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philly.
I have to look that up. I've never seen that show.
I think it's Rob McEnany.
What?
It's one of the Rex.
Great show. Great show.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but
I like we've watched
Rob McElhaney.
Yeah,
Rob McElhaney.
Yeah, but
I've never seen that show. All I've ever seen was I'm the trash man.
That's really good, man.
Luke building the Jedi Order and having his own students, and some of the students go dark. Some of the students are also Han and Leia's kids as well as his own kids. So it's really interesting to see kind of like how they're the new generation of like Star Wars main characters and what happens to them.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That'd be tight. That'd be really cool. So we've got the next one for Fred.
Yeah, so this one's from Jessica from Boston, Mass. Boo, Boston.
Boo.
Boston. Where'd you park your car? I can't find your car.
I'm Chowder.
My name's Ben Affleck. I'm from Boston. We get it.
From Boston.
But Jessica asks, well, first of all, she says, "Hi, podcasters. What's the latest information on the Star Wars sequel trilogy? Are there any additional movies or spin-off series planned to continue the story beyond Episode 9? Yeah. Well, we've got that new Rey movie coming out, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, there's a new Rey trilogy in the works.
And she's showing.
Hopefully she becomes Sith Rey.
There is a nude sex scene. There is
Fingers
a nude
crossed,
sex scene.
Jedi Knight. Please give me Jedi Knight fingers. That's all I want.
She's gonna be the first pregnant Jedi that we're ever gonna have on screen. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is a little bit weird. If I see her doing some acrobatic Jedi shit while pregnant, I'm definitely.
Oh, you know she's
announcing-
going to. You know
That's
she's
weird.
going to.
That's weird.
Bro, she is the most powerful Jedi ever. Of course she's going
Dude,
to.
it doesn't matter,
they're all
Skywalker or
dead.
not. You're 7 months pregnant.
they're
You got
all
a belly the
dead.
size of a fully expanded balloon. You shouldn't be doing no backflip to fucking slice a goddamn TIE silencer. Like, you need to be resting.
That was tight. That was cool. You gotta be honest. That was pretty cool.
But she wasn't 7 months pregnant.
True.
Now add if she was.
True.
That would look kind of weird.
Yeah, exactly. My point. Oh my god. It's like, what are you looking at? The lightsaber flashing the TIE silencer or belly? Kind of like the size of the TIE silencer.
Facts.
I am kind of looking forward to see what the new Jedi Order is about, though, you know, because I want to see the changes that they try to interpret to actually make the Jedi Order a lot more like, you know, like before how the Jedi were. It was like so strict and like restricting. Like Anakin couldn't have any feelings at all. Obi-Wan had to suppress his feelings for like his entire like knighthood. Qui-Gon fully like disagreed with how the Jedi like treated that situation as well. I want to see if like the new Jedi Order kind of like establishes more of like a hand-in-hand connection with emotions rather than just burying them, ignoring them. You know what I'm saying? Because like if Rey's gonna, like you said, have a sex scene, like obviously that means that the new Jedi Order has to have like some kind of like tolerance for relationships, etc. Right? Or
Well, she's
gonna
already
be-
pregnant in the new movie, apparently.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
in the comics, basically, the way they imply Anakin's birth was Palpatine manipulated the midichlorians, basically like Jesus, like made Shmi like asexual. You know, she basically just
Yeah.
boom gave birth to an Anakin. My initial thought was, so do you envision Rey being the Yoda for the new trilogy, like of the Jedi Order? Like,
I think she's the reverse Palpatine. I think she's so heavily light side that the Force has to balance it out and create a dark side, and that'll be
You're
the
too good, but you're evil.
yeah. And her
see,
kid.
and my only question is like, what kind of villain would put in that role
Yeah,
that would exceed Palpatine?
that's the problem with that. I think that if sorry, my brain just reset and rebooted. Give me a second.
Fist bump?
I think the problem about having a villain after Palpatine, obviously this villain, and the thing in the movies, it's a one-off. So the villain's obviously probably gonna get killed off with a conflict. There's gonna be some sort of resolution. I think the villain in this next movie is not gonna be a villain for Rey, but it's gonna be a villain for her students. I think that's the only way it kind of makes sense.
I see Rey taking this like Optimus Prime role. I really do. Where she's gonna have to be that leader for her students, like you're saying. And
So you're saying her students are gonna flop and fail,
yeah,
and Rey has to come through and save the day.
I hope Finn shows up and is a student.
Same.
I really hope they do that. I don't want them to just
same.
throw away Finn. I don't want them to like at the beginning of the movie we see Finn, Rey, and Poe, and then like it's just Rey for the rest of the movie. Like
I
I
need-
really want
yeah.
to see Finn.
The sequels with John Boyega. John Boyega is like so fed up with Disney at this point. Like the when you mention the word Disney to him, he just like wants to throw up in his mouth.
I want to see
Yeah.
Finn with, you know, some dreadlocks, a nice tunic, lightsaber. Don't make it purple because Jesus Christ, then you're fucking reaching. But I want to see Finn as like the second in command to Rey. That'd be really cool. Not in the sense of like force power, because obviously he won't be, but just in essence, because I want to see Finn succeeding as a character. He deserves a lot better than he was given. And lastly, I think that it's probably going to be based around like one or two key students, you know, her top two students. One will stay on the light, one will go to the dark, and we'll go off from there.
I'm down with it. Give me Finn Kista, man. You know what I'm saying?
Last question we've got is from Craig in Newcastle. Shout out to Craig. And he says, cheers, fellas. Hope all is well. First time question this week, so I'll make it an easy one. What is your favorite Star Wars movie, and what makes it your favorite? Do you want to start on that one, Fred?
Yes, mine's easy. It's 3. Big Obi-Wan Kenobi lover. I love watching episode 3. Obviously, it is the episode where Obi-Wan kind of like comes to face with one of his greatest failures, which is not being able to, connect with Anakin enough to realize that something was going on. So it's a feel bad moment for Obi-Wan, but at the same time, it develops his character in a positive light. Whereas, like, in the end, he does what he has to do, which in his mind is fucked, but
he will do what he must.
He did what he must. Exactly.
He will do what he must.
I love that.
Yeah. See Anakin murder some younglings, so that's pretty fun too. Good time.
Oh.
Obi-Wan. They got me for my phone.
Oh my god.
Obi-Wan. Vance, what's your favorite movie and why?
It's a very close tie almost between Rogue One and Empire Strikes Back, but I think it has to go to Empire Strikes Back because, growing up, I was really young when I first saw it. I think I was like 5 or 6 when I saw it at my grandparents' house for the first time, and it was just a different movie. I feel like the entire, growing up watching Disney films, I really like a lot of things about Empire Strikes Back. Like, it's one of those very rare movies where the good guys don't win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's such a, almost like a wake-up call that, not, the good guys don't always win. Like, not everything goes according to plan. It's all about, how do you pick yourself back up after this, huge loss. And the Empire Strikes Back is when we first get the Imperial March, which is just the entire world knows that song. You don't even need to know Star Wars and you know exactly what it is. I mean, the late Kobe Bryant, I forget what year, but he was injured for a pretty long time. I think it was multiple seasons or a whole season. And he came back and he said that he wanted the Imperial March to play when he came back on the court. That's the song he wanted because that song has such a commanding presence. The Battle of Hoth is just amazing, especially how they made that scene and all the miniatures they used. I mean, the Battle of Hoth is amazing. It's almost perfect. Battle of Crate has nothing on it. And then my last big reason for Empire Strikes Back is Boba Fett. That's
fair enough.
It's crazy the contrast between, we get an entire show about Boba Fett and he is this clown, but he says 2 lines in Empire Strikes Back and he just steals the show. And that one scene with all the bounty hunters, I thought was probably one of the coolest scenes ever, because you don't know these characters, but they all look super interesting and just menacing. And I feel like Empire Strikes Back did a lot of world building for the first time in Star Wars when it first came out, because A New Hope, you get Tatooine for majority of the movie.
But you can go to Arizona and that shit look like
That's true. But yeah, Empire Strikes Back, that's my favorite film.
Judah?
Oh, bro, The Phantom Menace.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I brought up the phone.
Obi-Wan.
You got me for my phone.
They got me for my phone.
Dude, I gotta honestly agree with Judah, bro. As much as I love the original trilogy and they were the kindling / fuse starter for Star Wars, because 4, 5, 6 actually equals 1, 2, 3. My top 2 is Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith. Both of those are my top ones, and it's so crazy. But Episode 1 also feels like back for me, 100%. When Qui-Gon dies at the end, and they have their celebratory, end outro, do you feel like the heroes won? No, I don't.
I think they escaped.
They escaped Darth Maul. Darth Maul's dead. And there's still, as Yoda says, there's always 2 there are. Yep. A master and an apprentice. And that movie alone was great. It was such an advancement from 4, 5, and 6. Like, we got the legendary 4, 5, 6, right? And with 4, 5, and 6, it progressed, I guess, in the terms of lightsaber battles and combat. That we got Duel of the Fates, and which brought us literally to Duel of the Fates, that song. It's just iconic. Same thing with Imperial March. It's on that aptitude level. It's legendary. And then if you were to compare it to episode 3, it's similar to, I think, Empire Strikes Back. The heroes didn't win. You know? Like, episode 2, I think the heroes won. Not even. No one won. It's still all just losses, literally, from 1 through 6. Well, 1 through 5. Yeah,
That's why I like my favorite episode 6, because really, if you look at it, the good guys finally win. And round 12, you know, Death Star pointed at your front door. And if Thrawn was in charge of the Battle of Endor, Rebels are kaput.
Dude, the Rebels wouldn't even made it to Endor if Thrawn was in charge. Let's be honest. At first, Death Star, Thrawn would have been like, "Hey, let's get some plywood over this hole."
Over this hole.
Dead ass. You fucking idiots. You bunch of dumbasses.
Thrawn's looking at the builders like, guys, why the fuck do we have an exhaust that just blows up the entire Death Star?
Yeah, we are self-sustaining. We can go in hyperdrive. We don't need an exhaust port. What are we doing?
What the fuck is that?
I feel like Thrawn would have found a way to like weaponize Purrgil or something like that. Something crazy.
Family Guy made
We're about to see it in episode 4.
Dude. What was it? They saved money.
In episode 4, bro, they're about to take the Eye of Sion and get a Purrgil, drive that bitch to the unknown regions. Be like, this is what you arrived in, a Purrgil. How are we gonna get back? I'm hyped for it, but anywho, lads, chads, everything in between, that was the Archives episode 6. Appreciate you all for coming through. Shout out to Van Seal, MJ, Fred, and of course, ain't nobody cuter than the Judah. I've been AlsoTeeko, and we'll catch you next time. And as always, with peace, love, and serenity, may the Force be with you. Always.